All right, we are live for the live chat number 12, and we got George Hickman joining us. I think it's your first time for this live chat. We've done live chats together before in the past. Go back into the catalog, listen to those. There's some good ones. Him and his brother Frank, the Hickman brothers. We've been doing this for I don't even know since 2016 maybe or 17, something like that. It's been a
Yeah, I think
minute, you know what I mean?
I think 16.
16, right? So
Yeah,
that's when you're like right when you were transitioning to become the head coach, right? For Tiger Muay
yeah,
Thai.
yeah. Or it may have been early 2017, but sometime in that area. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Now, uh the first thing I want to get into with you is that, you've been on the island, Phuket. Phuket's been on lockdown, right? Like real lockdown, not like, these people talking about, they're on lockdown and they're going everywhere. Like you can't even leave the island, right? So how long has it been since they shut down the bridges and all of that?
Uh, to be honest, I don't remember the exact date that they closed the island down. But basically, like once the gym closed down, and I want to say that was late March, I think. I may be mistaken, but once the gym closed down, it wasn't long after that, maybe a week or so. And then they did like the lockdown for the 2 weeks, which was like you couldn't leave the island. Obviously, the airports were closed. You couldn't even leave your district. So like in Phuket, there's like a bunch of different districts, and ours is Chalong, and we're kind of like at the southern part of the island. But we couldn't like right up the road, like right past Tiger, where the street that Tiger is on. There's like a big traffic light, and there was like a checkpoint set up there, so you couldn't go any further north. And then the same thing, like not too far down the other way, there was another checkpoint. So they like kept you in your districts. And there was actually like a couple areas, I think, on the northern part of the island where like the people were like locked into their like roads and their subdivisions, and they couldn't even leave. Like I could still go like I don't know 4 or 5 miles like circle radius or more within all that, and so I could still go to 7-Eleven, like groceries if I needed to go to the grocery store. But yeah, like I didn't really go other than the grocery store. I didn't really go anywhere. Um, and it's since the last I don't know 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's been like more relaxed, and probably about 2 weeks, and you can go around again. I think it's still a bit hard to get off the island. You can definitely do it. I think you just have to like fill out paperwork and wait for it to come back, and they let you know when you can leave. And there's like long queues, but yeah, it's you still can't fly out or fly in.
There was a lot of people that stayed on the island when they shut down the bridges and the airport, right? They were basically stuck. And there must have been some like stories of people like getting kicked out of their hotels, because it's not like people go there with a lot of money. Most people that are there, especially fighters or just people
Yeah.
traveling, backpacking, basically, they're going, month by month or week by week. So I saw some pictures of like people waiting in line for food. Is that like, was that really going on?
Yeah, I think that like the Thai government, like they've come through my neighborhood a couple of times with like trucks and like little like motorbikes with side carts and stuff, like giving away like rice and eggs and all kinds of food and stuff. But they've also like right up the street there's a temple at the end of my road, and they were like every day at the same time when I drive past there, like if I go to work out or something or run, there's always like a huge line of people waiting to get free food. So they have like different places set up around the island, and quite a few really, where they give free food away to like people, obviously, who need it, and a lot of the migrant workers that come from Myanmar and stuff as well. But yeah, and there's a lot of places like doing donations. Like there's different restaurants that have given free stuff away, and there's, they set up a couple places on the street that Tiger's located at, and they help people out there too that were, just on that road. Because there's a lot of like small families that are, not too well off that live down that street, or, um, workers that work at the hotels and stuff. So they've done like a pretty good job of helping people out.
Yeah, I would think that a lot of the people that have shops on that street and with nobody there, nobody training, nobody on that road, basically that business, all the businesses are shut down, right? And they can't make anything, so it must
Yeah,
be a tough time for them mostly.
like yeah, massage shops, tattoo shops, because I have a tattoo shop. Like those are all closed. Some gyms are starting to open back up, but just like fitness gyms. Um, we're still waiting. Hopefully in June, Tiger will reopen, but we're still not sure. But there are like some places that are starting to open up, but like bars and things like that are still closed. It's funny. I actually my wife and I, like, we went to a cafe earlier. It's the first time that we've like gone out to like have coffee or anything in quite some time. And we drove to one of the beaches in Kata Beach, and we had coffee. And then we like drove through the mountains a little bit, or I say mountains, but like big hills into another beach, and then down Tiger Road at the end. And it was just like the beaches were like desolate. Like usually, all the restaurants are open, everything's booming, but it was just like a ghost town. Like all the doors were shut on the restaurants and like barred up and stuff. And it was just kind of eerie, almost like seeing like no tourists really. Like, you see them on the motorbikes and stuff like that, but obviously, the hotels are closed, and it's been rough. And there have been some tourists that have been like stranded, and I think have ran out of money. Like you said, you were asking. I've seen a couple things like on Twitter where there's been like, I think there was one Russian couple that like monastery took them in, so they lived at like a temple with some of the monks for a while, and they were like feeding them and stuff every day. So it's nice though. Like, man, Thai people are really warm for the most part, so they're very helpful.
Yeah. I'm glad that they're helping people. You know what I mean? Because I could only imagine, because most people that go to Thailand, they don't know how to speak Thai, man. Like
Yeah.
it's a very hard language to learn,
Oh,
from
for
my
sure.
perspective, right?
Yeah. No, it definitely is, because it's a tonal language. But like the good thing about Phuket is like a lot of the businesses and the Thai people, because it's such a huge tourist area. The tourist industry is huge here, so a lot of them can speak broken English or speak English. So it's definitely easier in Phuket than it would be somewhere else.
So now the gym situation, you're saying that some gyms that are basically like focused on primarily the CrossFit or the
Yeah,
weightlifting,
yeah.
those gyms are opening up right now?
Yeah, so there's like I drove by, like there's a gym called Unit 27 that's on the same street as Tiger, and it's only fitness. It's, I think, open like running like small classes, and then like any like normal weights gym has opened back up. Um, but like all the MMA gyms and Muay Thai gyms for that, are still closed. So hopefully, there was a thing the government put out last week that said possibly June 15th, stadiums would open back up for Muay Thai and stuff. And I think they have like a whole plan of like how to open it in different stages and stuff like that. So hopefully once that, the stadiums open, the gyms will open as well.
Well, it seems like that many of the guys that are stuck out there, even the girls, that are fighters, they're still training though. They're training at locations, and they're making do with what they have. And you got like Peter Yan, he's out there uh s- training for his fight that he might not have, or he might have. We don't even know yet the
Yeah,
situation. But you know what he's doing, right? He's still training. He's hardcore deep into it right now.
yeah, man. Peter Yan is he's I mean, he's like a coach's dream, and I'm like, of course, I coach him and help him and stuff. He works a lot with John Boy, the boxing coach, at one of the boxing coaches at Tiger, that helps out a lot with MMA as well. Um, so he trains with him quite a bit, and then through quarantine, he's been wrestling with my brother and stuff. I think he's got like a couple like small like puzzle piece mats at his place. Most of the people that are still here, that we all train, that are fighters at Tiger, they've done a good job of still training and like keeping it small groups, especially like during the lockdown and stuff. It was like the same people, like, because they live pretty much right near each other, so of two or three people at a time would train um, outside on a couple mats or hit pads in like a driveway or something. Just pretty innovative, but still trying to keep fit and upskill if they can through this time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Also, Brandon, he fights for PFL. Man, he's out there training to fight this season, but during the time he's on the island getting ready, they canceled the whole PFL season for 2020. Man, like, I wonder how he's probably tripping out right now.
Yeah, man. Brennan is. I saw him the other day and talked to him a bit about it. Yeah, man. But like it is like he's obviously he wants to fight. I mean, I think every fighter wants to fight, especially during this time. But yeah, he's a guy. He's a professional as well. Like the guy, as soon as one of the gyms, the fitness gyms on the street opened back up, I saw Monday or yesterday he was back in there. Busting his butt. And I even think on Sunday he might have went to a gym I saw on social media and was working out, running and whatnot on treadmills and doing some weights. So, yeah, it's for him. It's I think he was really ready to storm the PFL and give it a go in that tournament. And he's a very talented fighter, a great guy and very talented fighter. And it would have been interesting to see because I think he had the tools. He could have won that. And to have all that kind of like through this time, obviously everyone's affected by it, but it definitely can kind of take the wind out of yourselves. But he's done, he's been a professional. He's done a good job of staying the course. So
Also, Khalil Roundtree, he was scheduled to fight like right at the beginning of this pandemic, and they
yeah,
canceled, the event, of course, and he can't fly back. He stayed on the island.
yeah.
Like, how's he holding up?
He's good, man. He's staying busy. I think he's followed like the coronavirus for before I was ever like concerned because I remember flying in January to the Philippines for one event and in February when I went to New Zealand for the UFC. And in February I was a bit more concerned like flying because it was starting to get a little bit more serious, but like I wasn't that concerned. And in January I wasn't at all, but even almost up until almost like 2 weeks before that we were supposed to leave for his fight, I wasn't that concerned about it. He was starting to get kind of concerned. And I was just like, no big deal. Like, this is going to pass. And then sure enough, man, once I remember the day, like it was because I hadn't taken it that serious at all. Like, of course, like I use hand sanitizer. And whenever I would go to the airport, I was wearing masks and stuff. But like I wasn't that concerned about events. I was like, it's the UFC, they're not going to cancel this event. And then once like the NBA canceled, I was like, man, it's game over. Like it's definitely is going down. Like it's definitely not going to happen now. And yeah, sure enough, obviously they canceled it. And the next event after that, yeah, it was, Khalil was ready he was well prepared for that fight. And I think it was a great fight for him, but he took some time, like right after the lockdown happened, and just kind of chilled and relaxed and let himself decompress. And he's back. We've been hitting pads and doing some drilling and stuff together. And yeah, so I'm ready for him. I'm excited for him whenever he does have his next fight.
You've been living in Asia for a while, and you've been to like probably almost damn near every Asian country, close, right? And were you a type to ever wear a mask before this pandemic was going on?
No, it's funny. My wife and I were talking about that yesterday, and I was telling her like, because like obviously you're used to it in Asia. It's like you see it quite a bit. Like here in Thailand, you see people wearing masks, and when you travel, you see people wearing masks. And I remember when I first came, I was like, all these people wearing masks, like just the ignorant American. And then when I fought in Japan the first time, like about a year after moving here, and I remember seeing like a lot of people wearing masks, and actually. At the time, I was fighting in Deep on one of the New Year shows, and Roger Huerta was with me, and he was like, "Bro, you should get a mask and like wear it in your walkout and stuff." And I ended up like forgetting about it, not doing it. But yeah, like, and then I hear people like in America that are always like talking about it. My friends are like, "Yo, what are you doing like with that mask?" And like one guy Joe Ray, actually to be exact, was messaging me last night about coming back out here, and he was like, "Yeah, bro, I was thinking, maybe July." And I was like, "Bro, like the airports are closed through the end of June. We don't even know if they're going to get extended or what's going to happen." He was like, "Yeah, bro, like maybe I'll just get insurance and buy the flight for August." He's like, "But I want to make sure I don't have to wear a mask or anything like that." And I was like, "Bro, the world is in a shit state right now. Like, you're definitely gonna have to wear a mask. What are you talking about? Like, it's just ridiculous. But no, man, I think it's like I've gotten used to it, being in Asia, and I think it's really like I think it's a good thing to do, like especially when you travel, to keep yourself safe. But like, there's been times in the last couple of years since I've lived here that I've been a little bit under the weather when I've traveled, and I have worn a mask because I was coughing and stuff. And it's like, I think just like to a Westerner, when you see someone wearing a mask, you just think about them, or at least myself, like that person's like sick or something like that. But they are sick a lot of times, and that's why they're wearing the mask. And that's a good thing. It's better, to have a mask if you're coughing and sneezing and stuff than like doing it on the person sat next to you in the airplane.
Yeah, in Asia, it's just normal. Like you see a person with a mask on, it's like you see it every day, so it's no
Right.
big deal. And
Yeah.
nobody's fighting over a mask, telling you to take the mask off or put it on, or it's just like, hey, you have it, you have it. You don't have it, you don't have it. It's no big
Some of
deal.
yeah, I agree 100%. Like my mom, she's getting ready to fly back from Florida to North Carolina today. She was down visiting her sister. And I was like, before she left, I was like, Mom, you have your mask and like your hand sanitizer and stuff. She's like, oh yeah, honey, I've got everything. And she was kind of asking me actually about a month and a half ago about the mask, like people wearing them in Asia. And we talked about that. And I was like, yeah, I think it's a great thing to do, especially if you're sick. And she was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Well,
So,
fighters, I think if you're fighting, and especially during fight week, and you're flying and you're near all these different people, and you're probably in the process of cutting weight, wearing a mask is probably a good thing.
oh, one,
Moving
yeah,
forward,
I
right?
agree
Like, all
100%,
Asian
man.
fighters were wearing masks. If you went to, you've been to road, you've been to Japan.
Oh yeah,
Asian
man.
fighters were
Those
wearing
guys
masks like
all,
years ago. It was just
yep,
part of like them protecting themselves against everybody else, the germs.
yep. No, every time that I've been to an MMA event in Asia, especially in Korea and Japan, there's always people wearing masks, and
And it
it's
wasn't
again
it wasn't like you're tripping out like, "Oh, why is everybody wearing
no,
masks? They're
yeah,
gonna
it's
gas us or some shit."
right, yeah, no, for sure. I think it's just think it's like it's a thing like from the West, like when we like people see that, I don't know why it's such a big deal, but yeah, no, definitely a fan of it, man. And it's like you said about cutting weight. It makes a lot of sense because your body's run down and your immune system's down, so uh, it's a good idea to wear a mask and protect yourself.
Hey, you been watching the UFCs and you see the cornermen or the people
Yeah,
like
I
the
was
employees, and
thinking
they're
about
wearing masks and none of them fit their face. Like
yeah, right.
it
It's
looks crazy. Like, are their heads that big or are the masks that small? Like the
yeah,
beards, like damn, you notice the beards more now
it's like
because of the mask.
such a small mask.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Like, I mean, I don't know. The mask game, now it's mask is just going to be part of the world. I think if you want it to be part of your world, right? Asia has just been part of the
Yeah,
society,
I
but
think
like
so.
other parts of the world, people are going to start wearing masks, especially during the winter. Actually, if you wear a mask during the winter, it keeps your face warm. To be
Yeah,
honest with you, that's why I wear it during the winter. If I go outside, I put a mask on. It keeps my face warm the whole time, so it's a good idea. But anyways, moving on from the masks and all that shit.
everybody listen. You
Uh,
can get your mask game up now.
yeah, exactly. There's if you go to Asia, there's mask designs all over the place. But we'll see what happens with that. It seems like everything's opening up. Tiger, you said, is going to open up most likely in June, middle of June, when the government decides to open everything up. They're
Yeah,
following the
hopefully
protocol.
that was just that was something that they put out, that there was like a list of event or things that would open up, by different phases, and that's what they said. So hopefully that stands true. But things over here do get announced, but then they get changed quite regularly. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I saw that on Twitter. It's very unsteady, and I think every country, Korea is like that too. Like, there was, they were controlling and containing the coronavirus, and then all of a sudden, some dude somehow he got the coronavirus from somebody that came from abroad, and then he went to this nightclub, and then that
Oh,
nightclub blew the hell up. In Itaewon, you've been to Itaewon, right? Like
yeah,
they still had the clubs open at that time, and that dude went there and he just spread the coronavirus, and like
wow.
and it just spread everybody. They even went to a gay club and shit. So everybody's like homophobic on the news, and and
Oh
like
man.
they were like, "Oh, why you got the coronavirus? Were you at the gay club?" That's like they're pointing fingers at each other. So it's kind of a wild situation right now in Korea, but they've contained it pretty good because they're pretty good at testing people, and testing's free. So,
Yeah.
but do you know anybody in Phuket that has coronavirus?
No, I don't.
Well, that's good then. That's very good.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's
I got a comment here. If you could see on the bottom of the screen, can you see that?
yeah, I can see that. Are you insulting? Such an insult.
Real Snitch Bob Hitter. Hey, this dude has the best name. Real Snitch Bob Hitter says he kind of looks like Alex Volkanovski. Has anybody told you that? Like you kind of look like Alex Volkanovski?
No, I've gotten Ian McCall quite a few times, but I've never gotten Alex Volkanovski.
Oh, you do kind of look like a hybrid of Ian McCall and Alex Volkanovski. Kind of.
Alex Volkanovski looks like me, not the other way around.
Well, yeah, you know how it works. I mean, you hold the title right now, right? You know what I
I'm
mean?
older than
I don't want to get into it, but we know, he knows you hold the title. So hey, let's get into this other question. This guy Imran Shah, do you think Doggie and Timofey should have a rematch? What do you think about that? Timofey, he was training down there right before the pandemic popped off.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
back to
They both,
normal, right?
yeah. He's good, man. He was back training, and I think obviously wanting to fight, and I think was supposed to fight. I can't remember correctly, but yeah, he's back 100%. I love both those guys, man, and uh, that's something that they would have to talk about.
Have they trained together since they fought? Because I know Doggy, he's been down at Tiger a
Yeah,
lot, right?
I think so. Yes, I think that they have trained, and they're like very cordial and nice to each other. And yeah, I mean, what like they've already fought. Maybe they will fight again, but they both train at the same gym. Um, and if they did fight again, obviously that's between them.
Well,
But
they're gonna
those guys,
fight again. Come on, man. Those guys are like top 5 in the division,
I'm sure
in the
that they
lightweight
will.
division.
Yeah. And they very well may. And they're both extremely talented fighters. But those are guys that they both train at Tiger, but they don't live here full time. Those guys come, weeks before they fight and prepare and get acclimated and stuff like that, and then go fight. So they're not here. I don't I don't go to corner those guys and stuff like that. But obviously, we help them as much as we can and help them prepare because they are part of our team and they come multiple times a year for long periods of time and represent our gym. So, but yeah, they're both who. Man, that's an exciting fight, like
That's fucking crazy, man. Like, especially how far they have come since that fight, especially Timofey, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
him coming off that Eddie Alvarez win, that boosts his confidence, you know what I mean? Already he's confident, but that win
Oh,
must
for
have just
sure,
made
man.
him like unbearable in practice. I'm just kidding. But where is Timofey from? What is his original country?
Uh, he's Russian.
Oh, he's Russian? Straight
Yeah,
Russian?
he's Russian. Yeah, he's Russian. I think he's from Siberia in Russia.
Okay, because he kind of has that Asian look a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I think he is. And his last name
Siberia.
is Nastyukin, correct?
Yeah, Nasty Yuki.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a Russian name or not, but
Exactly.
yeah, I think he's from Siberia.
What did you think about that Doggy fight against Christian Lee, man? Christian Lee surprised everybody, I think. Even you
Yeah,
probably, huh?
it surprised me for sure. I think, yeah, I would like to see that fight again. I would like,
Oh, it's
yeah,
happening again.
yeah.
Like
It's
Timofey versus
I think
Christian Lee. It's all
yeah,
happening.
I think, man, I think Christian Lee, man, he's that kid's good, man. He's like a man now. He started as almost like a kid, and man, he has good technique. He's athletic. He's good, man, for sure. But I definitely, obviously, I want to see that fight again, and I think that the fight will go a different way for sure.
Yeah,
But
well,
they're both really talented guys.
Christian Lee, man, he's done so much at a young age, and he's just
Yeah,
gonna get better,
yeah,
and
he
all those
has.
fights are gonna happen, and it's gonna be fun to watch and see who actually come out on top, because
Yeah,
like Timofey and Doggy, they're so dangerous, just like Christian Lee, but like there's kind of like this really dangerous like aura around Doggie and Timofey that like Christian Lee doesn't have. Christian Lee is good. Like I could like look at Christian Lee and say he's like a real mixed martial artist. Like he grew up
Yeah,
as a mixed martial artist, but Doggie and Timofey are like fighters.
to me, Christian Lee is like almost like the new, like this era that we're coming into of mixed martial artists. Like, you know, he's just started out probably, I don't know this for sure, but probably just started out training MMA, you know, and doing everything. And he's, you know, he's very talented. But yeah, like you think about all the like early, like I think Daggie's had like a lot of very early stoppages, and you think about like all the like brutal knockouts that Timofey is like handed out over the years in 1FC, man. Those are, yes, they're all three of them very talented and good fighters, but Timofey and Daggie, I agree, do have like that explosiveness and that, you know, they can stop the fight very quickly. And it happens quite often when they do fight. So
yeah, well, man, there's some insane matchups right there in the lightweight division. Now, the next question is from World War One Tim. You know, he fought in World War One. Is the one event on June 6th still on? I don't believe that event is still on, because do you have any fighters that are supposed to fight on June
no,
6th for one championship?
I don't have any fighters with any fights on that I know of.
Exactly, right. So June 6th, that I think that's in the Jakarta card. I think they're just being optimistic with that one. I feel like they're gonna skip that one because Jakarta, they've been hit pretty bad by the coronavirus too.
Yeah,
So
I think that's the thing. Like, even for the UFC, like whether it's 1FC or UFC, any of these events, I mean, for me, like it's like even if Fight Island came like June 1st, we wouldn't have anybody fighting there until the airports open back up. So I don't know, like, you know, what the airports are in every other country, but right now it's not a great situation in Thailand for the airport. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
definitely. The next question we got from Rich Rodeo. Some good fighters over there. He's probably talking about Tiger Muay Thai. Congrats to you and your brother and all the staff. So I guess Johnny and everybody out there, Woody and stuff. There, he's talking about them. So he's giving you some props, man. You and your brother.
Big Rich, thank you. I appreciate it, bro.
Oh, you know Rich?
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay. You act. I thought you was like Big Rich. It's like you know
Nah,
he's
I just
big.
know
So.
Rich, and I don't know if Rodeo's a real last name in that.
Yeah.
Photo,
well, Rich Rodeo is that's kind of a like a sick ass stripper name or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be like a Chippendale or something.
Yeah, Chippendale. That's right. Chippendale.
He'd be doing the funk. Anyways, let's go to the next one. World War One Tim again. Are there any Thai MMA gym rivalries you know of, and if so, what is the most notorious? No, well, I already know. Like, of course, there's like small rivalries that pop up here and there, right? Even on Phuket, you know, there's gonna be. I think gym rivalries is just gym rivalries. Like, it just happens naturally, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that they're like, before I came here, I think that I've heard of the gym rivalries that there were on the street and in Phuket. But since I've been here, not that I know of, no. Like, I don't, any other gym like around here, if I see the owner or know them, I'll say hello, or like, I honestly don't care what any other gym's doing, and like the coach from Phuket top team, Von Lee, when I see him, he's a super nice guy. I always like to speak to him, and yeah, I have no like ill will towards anybody in Phuket. Yeah, I try to stay out of that stuff.
Yeah, I think WW1 Tim. I guess Tim, he didn't fight in World One. He just wrote a message. He didn't, so I don't want to mislabel him. But WW1 Tim saying that to him, I want to say that if you want to know about like the gym rivalries, just Google that Phuket gym rivalries, and you'll go deep into that. Like, there's a lot of names that you will remember from the past or even right now that were involved in those gym rivalries, amongst the gyms that are right now still going on in Phuket, and maybe a gym or two that has closed down in the past. But yeah, if you want to get deep into it, like right now we can't talk about it because we'll be talking about it and speculating on most of the stuff. But there are some articles that were written, I think, for Vice, and yes, there's some good stuff there. So go look.
I didn't know that. I'll have to check that out for myself.
Yeah. let's go to this one. Glenn Teddy Bear Spar.
This is gonna
Stop
come up.
being politically correct. Say something funny. So I guess he's talking to you. You're
Of
political
course,
George,
he
right?
is. Of course he is. Yes, I have been known to be
Where
political
is
George.
Glenn anyway? Is he back in Poland? Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
Finland. Finland. I
yeah,
think he's gonna get mad for that one.
he's right now probably just hanging out in his brother's mansion, driving his brother's like really nice cars, and just hanging out, living the good life.
Oh, his brother is a football player, right?
Yeah, like a very, I think, very good professional football player. He's a team captain for his team. I think he plays for Denmark, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, he plays
Correct?
for another country.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
like a
why?
like a pro league or
Yeah, yeah. He plays in a pro league. That I think he's like he lives in Denmark, so that's why Glenn just is smashing his brother's loft penthouse around, just laying on his couch, racking a bill up. He's got the maid in there cleaning, and he's definitely got the chef because he does have a chef.
so he's Danish now, basically.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I don't
Yeah, I
know if
don't know
they
how that works either. So well,
country.
well, anyways, Glenn, hurry up and get back to this side of the world, and get your get your weight back to that middleweight, normal weight. He said, Glenn says, "Fuck you and you're Poland." Oh, of course, I knew you were gonna react to that, Glenn. You're one of the top notch guys out there. We love you and miss you a lot. Now, what else is there? All right, here's a good question. Real Snitch Mob Hitter, he says, what fight you look forward to being booked for the most in 1FC? What do you
Me or
think?
you?
You, both of us. What do you think? I'll let you go, or you want me to go first? I already know.
Um, I don't. I'm not really. Honestly, I don't have. I'm excited to see Fabio Pinca fight. But for like,
Who is
and
he
I
gonna
would say,
fight?
I don't. He doesn't have an opponent.
Oh, so he's gonna fight. What is he? Featherweight?
Uh, lightweight.
Okay, lightweight. So he's in that deep
Lightweight,
deep
like
division.
70. Yeah. No, and the Super Series, man, like all those guys, like they've been signing some of the ties, like City Chai, and it's. I'm definitely excited to see like what they're going to do with all these guys because it's like watching ONE FC, the fighters that they have, especially like Muay Thai and kickboxing, is for me is always really cool to not only watch the fights on TV, but it's cool when I'm when I have people fighting and I'm cornering them and I can after they fight, watch those fights. That's I always enjoy that.
Definitely. Well, yeah. Well, you just said it. Like you're looking forward to the Super Series mostly
Yeah,
with that lightweight division,
I don't.
featherweight division.
There's
You
no
got
like matchup between
Petrosian, and what is it, Sidichai?
yeah, City
Sidichai.
man.
They if they fight each other, that's gonna blow the doors off someplace, man. That's a massive fight right there. Got a
Yeah,
lot of big fights there, but
they got a lot of depth in those in the Muay Thai and the kickboxing.
yeah, the fight that I'm looking forward to is Vitor Belfort versus Elan Kalani. That's gonna be an insane fight, and it's not even gonna be MMA. From what I heard, it's gonna be a striking fight. Like they're just gonna stand and bang.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I wonder. Like, first of all, the weight class is not clear, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be open weight. Vitor looks pretty big. I just saw him on Instagram story taking some pictures. He looks pretty big right now,
Is
and
he shredded?
huh?
Is he shredded?
He's not shredded, but he's big. He's not like he was when he was TRT. I was looking at it like carefully. I'm like, oh, he's not like he doesn't look like when he knocked out Luke Rockhold. You know what I mean? He doesn't look like that. He's much better than he was before. But it's like Mike Tyson. You seen Mike Tyson's pictures recently? Don't tell me he's not on steroids. Like, don't tell me that. Like, come
Mike.
on. You think that he's all natty? Come on, that's not natty. You know what I mean? That's just fucking. I'm just telling you. That's what I see. It's not like no one's testing them. You know what I mean?
Did you see the photo from like recently, and then the photo from like 2009?
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I don't like. And remember he was talking about, oh, I never want to fight again. You know what I mean? Like I have terrible feelings when I like hit pads or hit the bag. But now he's smashing mitts, and and they're talking about giving him $20 million. BKB. I don't understand. How does BKB have $20 million?
I don't think that they do, but you got to listen to Uncle Chell. He was talking about it today on YouTube.
How did even Vanderlei came out and he was saying that they're offered him 10 mil.
Yeah, I think Chell was saying like he like made it make sense. Maybe it didn't, but it made sense to me. But he was just saying like Mike. I think Mike openly said he wanted like $1 million to fight or something. And again, this is like hearsay from what I heard from him. But and then he said like he was just laughing. He was like, "Of course they offered him 20 million because they, you know, like they wouldn't hear him say he only wanted $1 million and then say here's 20 million." He was like, "But now all these other fighters are like, you know, throwing their name in there." And then of course he was like bagging Tito off because Tito like threw his name in there.
Well, you know, Chill, he has a little bit of hater in him. You know, you could see it sometimes in his videos, and
Yeah, of course.
you know, he has his people that he hates. You know, it's clear. He hates John Jones with a passion. You know what I mean? He hates you know, a couple other guys. He hates Tito. You know what I mean? I think he hates Fedor too. So what can you do? You know what I mean? Like you can't love everybody. But yeah, Chaelson is great. Now, oh, we got a good question here. What does George think about me fighting BKB? Like what? Like we were just talking about bare knuckle boxing. What do you think about Sparv?
Just stop. Why would he want to do this right now, like publicly on a live chat?
Oh, you want? Hey, that's why you asked the question. Like,
he is not fighting. He's not fighting bare knuckle boxing.
So you, as his coach, recommend him not to go out there. Why would you not recommend somebody to do bare knuckle boxing, especially while they're still competitive in MMA?
He just needs to stick to MMA and work on his head movement a bit.
What do you think? Bare knuckle boxing is more of a like who can get hit the most and not get knocked out?
Man, I don't really know. Like, I've never seen a live event, and like, I watch them when you know, like, if there's like someone that I'm interested in that's fighting on the card, then I'll pay for it to watch it. And I really enjoy it. You know, I'm a fight fan. I like watching any type of fighting. And I think it's so like, I think it's cool, man. I think it gives like I think it will be successful. You know, I think it gives like a lot of fighters opportunities that are like maybe past their prime in MMA, or, you know, MMA is not working out for them, and, you know, or they're not good at, you know, their ground game and they rather strike. I think it's a great like avenue now, or option that people have to, you know, that want to continue competing and fighting for a living. And hopefully it stays around, in my opinion. And, but I think it's interesting, you know, like, it's not like, I don't know. I'm not a bare knuckle boxing coach, and I don't know that much about it. But it's definitely it's interesting, you know. Like, what was old mate that fought? That was the former boxer that fought against the GOAT.
Oh, Maldonado or whatever.
Yeah, like, didn't the GOAT lump him up, right?
Yeah, he beat him up.
Yeah, and that guy's like a pure boxer, and he's like unorthodox, like Russian hammer that, you know.
Yeah. He's a tough guy.
Yeah, so it's interesting, you know. Like, I think definitely like boxing would maybe definitely help you, but I think that if you like, I think MMA fighters can do well, man, because it's a different style of striking. You know, it's like boxing bare knuckle, but it's definitely like, I think they're punching differently, and especially an MMA fighter, like, punches are coming from different angles and timings are different, and so I think that they can be successful in it. So it's pretty cool to watch.
I pay a little bit of attention to bare knuckle boxing. You know, I'll watch the highlights or whatever, you know, like, but the only live event I've probably watched is when Mark Godbeard fought in that tournament against Mighty Mo. That was crazy, right? Like, I interviewed Mark Godbeard. Shout out to Mark Godbeard, man. He's one of the nicest dudes.
Awesome guy.
But he's a beast, dude. Like, he went in there and just smashed everybody in one night. Mighty Mo. What was the other guy? The huge dude. Like, he was like 6'7" or something like that. But yeah, Mark Godbeard. To me, he's like one of the kings of and it's a trip because he went to the UFC, didn't do so well, left. You know, he kind of like just left the UFC. He didn't even get released. He left the UFC by himself, and then just found the path, and it led to bare knuckle, and now he holds 2 belts. He holds the British BKB belt, and then he holds that Valor FC, the one that Ken Shamrock's doing. You know, the one that he did the tournament in. He holds that belt too. Now he's gonna go to BKFC, where Mike Tyson. You know, they offer Mike Tyson the money, and
That's
he's
like
gonna
the
supposedly
new
fight.
big one, right? In America.
Yeah, BKFC is the one in America.
Yeah, I don't know much about them, but they look like they have like good funding, or they're doing all right.
I guess, you know what I mean? But they I think Mark Godbeer's gonna go fight over there and fight for the title. You know who holds the title for heavyweight?
Who?
The Mexicutioner. I forgot his name. The
I know that
Mexican dude fought in the UFC. But anyways, yeah, that dude holds the belt, so they're gonna fight. Yeah, so BKB, Lethway, these are all like just options for combat sports fans. You know, if you like it, you like it. You don't like it, you don't like it, man. It's just
it's
up
cool,
to you.
man. It's like, even Lethway, like it's definitely like caught storm in the last 5 or 6 years, and that's another like cool. Like I haven't been to a live event. My brother went to watch Dave LeDuc fight one time in Myanmar, and like him and Woody and a bunch of the boys, and said like it was an awesome time. But yeah, it's like the amount of like promotions and like different styles of fighting now that are out there. It's kind of like it's an exciting time. So hopefully this COVID gets whatever the new like normal is. Hopefully it gets here quickly.
Yeah. This guy says, Real Snitch Mob Hitter says, I think it's crazy that people are hyping Mike up to return. I don't think it will go well. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna go well either. You know what I mean? Like, there's
Yeah,
always
but
a chance of the haymaker, but people just
yeah,
want to see the spectacle, right? Like of
right.
Mike Tyson come back.
Yeah, but I don't want to see Mike fight a gun either. I want to see Mike fight like
A bum.
or Shannon Briggs. Like he's like 53 too. Like training, saying that he wanted to fight. I don't want to see him fight like Holyfield, but Shannon Briggs would be cool.
Yeah, Holyfield's coming back too, which is crazy, and he's like in shape.
But bro, like they didn't need to do it for like charity, or like if they're fighting like if like Tyson and Shannon Briggs fought, like make it like 4 or 5 rounds or something, like change it where it's like different than what it would be. But yeah, I would definitely pay to see that.
Richard Rodeo says his name is the champ for BKFC is Joey Beltran. Good looking out, Rich. Next question. Real Snitch Mob Hitter says, when do you see fight cards with crowds come back? It feels weird without it. Like Ngannou finished the guy in 20 seconds. There was just crickets. Yeah, that was weird, right? Like Ngannou just smashed Jairzinho, and then it's like silent, like this guy was saying. Crickets. Did you feel it? Like when you were watching it, did you feel like something's missing here?
Yeah, it's definitely it's not so much like during the fight. I think is different. You can definitely tell, but definitely like when the cameras are like panning around and there's no one there, and like you can hear like usually like when the fight's happening, or like they're showing the corner work, or the announcers are speaking, you can hear the crowd in the background, and you can hear that stupid chant that they always do at every live event, and you can just hear the commotion, but you can't hear any of that now, especially like post-fight interview and stuff like that. So it's definitely different, but I don't know, man. I think I'm already used to it, like the world is a different place already, and that's just like it's weird for a couple of days and then it's not. Or like the first event, it was really weird, and then the last one that they had, or the last two, whatever, I was kind of used to it already. But I don't think, man, I don't know. I have no idea when fans are going to come back, but I don't think it's going to be for anytime soon.
I don't think it's going to be this year. I think they're going to play it safe and just put all the shows this year in with no crowd, no audiences. And as long as they have shows, that's okay with me. You know what I mean? As long as they continue having MMA on TV, or even just sports. It looks like the NBA is going to come back, and other sports are coming back too. So it's a good sign. But yeah, no crowds until next year. Huh?
The same thing, like the NBA is going to play without a crowd and stuff.
Yeah, I heard that NBA is they're gonna play at in Florida at Disney World.
Interesting.
But then what the weird thing about that is, like, they're saying that not all NBA teams will be involved in it. So it's like they're selecting NBA teams to go there and play. It's weird, man. It's like, come on, get your shit together, NBA. The fuck's wrong with you? Yeah, like to me, it's like if you lived in Asia and went to shows in Asia, not having a crowd, it doesn't really, because the crowd's so quiet. It's
Yeah,
like it
100.
doesn't really affect you. And I feel like some fighters, they thrive in that silent atmosphere, and some fighters, they choke in it. Just
Yeah,
like some fighters, they thrive in big crowds, in in the bright lights, and some fighters, they fold in front of the bright lights. It all has an effect. I don't feel like it just doesn't affect anybody. I feel like the psychology, like people say, this fighting is mental too, and that's part of it right there. It's like you're walking out, nobody's there. You step in the cage, there's nobody cheering you, there's nobody screaming anything at you. And some fighters, they need that to get
yeah.
them revved up to fight. And if you're a guy that thrives off that and you don't have that and you go in there and fight, it might affect you in your performance.
100%. Think about like in the Gaethje fight. I think like if there was a huge crowd, like every time he cracked them, the crowd would be like, "Hey," and like that would have like fueled the fighters,
Yeah.
both ways to for Ferguson to come back, and I think it definitely has an effect. And I think you're right as well, saying that some people do better with it and some people don't do as well with it.
Yeah,
But
that's a perfect example of Ferguson versus Gaethje, because Gaethje, he's a guy that like feeds off that chaos, and part of
yeah,
the chaos is the crowd. So maybe if he did hit Ferguson with a good shot, like with no crowd, he stayed composed, didn't chase after him. But with the crowd, you never know, man, because he likes to go run after dudes when he clips them, and it could have worked out terribly for Gaethje. But and Ferguson, I think Ferguson, he feeds off the crowd too. He likes to let the crowd get into his blood veins and fuel him. But he didn't have that, and I don't know. At the end of the day, Gaethje went in there and outclassed Ferguson from bell to bell. It was just a dominating performance. But yeah, like it affects them. Next question: would ONE FC do Lethway? I think they've done Lethway before, right?
yeah, I think so. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
not fully sure,
really
but I
sure,
think they've done it like
I
once or
think that they
twice.
did too. I remember seeing like when they went to Myanmar a couple of times, and they would have those like tournaments between the guys like the MMA fighters from there against each other, and they would have like mini tournaments, and like
Yeah.
they would headbutt each other sometimes. Oh man, we had like when they first started going to Myanmar, we had a couple of the fighters. There was like I think 4 or 5 of them came here, and yeah, and they were man, they were all really nice guys. It was funny actually. One of the Muay Thai coaches that has never wrestled, but he used to come always snooze in my class when I first came to Tiger. In the old MMA room, there was an air conditioning, so there was like a gap in between when he was teaching and when my class was. So he would come and like snooze on the side of the wall in the aircon, and then he was watching like when he woke up one day when those guys were there, and just by watching, he did a perfect penetration shot, and I was like helping some of the other people, and he's like, no, 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 wrong, and like the guys were looking at him like, why is this Thai guy showing me how to wrestle? And then he like did the perfect penetration shot. It was hilarious. But and Potal was here.
Oh, okay. Okay. I actually recently interviewed him, and he was
Super
talking
nice guy,
about, yeah,
awesome
very
guy.
nice guy. And he was talking about like the struggles of just being a fighter in Yangon in Myanmar. And if anybody's interested in that, you could go look that up on YouTube. But another question here: do you think Rodtang would do well in Lethway, since he seems like the type? Yeah, I think he would be a type to probably do um,
I think
Lethway,
he
and I think he would do great.
man, I think he would do great too. I don't think he'll ever fight it, but I think he would do great at it.
Well, if there was money in it, he could probably
Yeah,
do it. I think he would go in there.
yeah, bro. Like, he's a tank. Could you just see him? I mean, that's what his name is, anyways. It means tank. And could you just him trucking forward, like not only like he does already, and like his last fight, he got kicked in the neck, and he just literally just kept trucking forward.
Mhm.
Right? He's an animal.
Yeah, I want to see him fight Tension again,
Yeah, bro. That was yeah. I agree.
because like that is like, they're both so young, like, and they fought already, but I want to see them like fight like every couple of years as they grow up,
That
and
would
just
be cool.
see.
That
And
would
that's
be
why
cool.
one is trying to court Tension. I think that's in the mix right now. They're trying to lure
Yeah.
Tension over, and I
They
think they're
should
gonna
do it
do
back
it.
to Thailand.
All right. Well, there's a question from Lee Bruce, which is Bruce Lee's cousin. Does G Hick know any top rising Asian fighters that aren't signed yet, but would make noise if given the chance? Who do you think, like in Phuket, you know what I mean? Like that's come through, Asian fighters that are not signed yet. Maybe they're like regional guys. This guy doesn't have the memory for that.
Yeah, honest, man. I
There's
just
so many people. Like I don't think they like people understand like how
yeah,
many fighters run through Tiger
right.
in a weekly basis. Like I
If
think
I
people don't
go,
understand that.
yeah, if I go to an event, if I go to an event for a week, like a UFC event, when I come back, there's a lot of the same people there, and then there's a whole new like truckload of, of people that I haven't seen before, like fighters that I know but just got there. Like it's constantly changing, and most of the the Asian fighters that I'm around or that I coach are either Thais, which all of the Thais that I have are signed to a promotion, and or they're Asian fighters that are here preparing for a one FC fight. So yeah, I don't. To answer your question, I don't really know any prospects that I think can make noise because they're all
Well,
already
you do
signed.
have Top Noi.
Yeah, but he's signed to
Is he
Ryzen.
signed to Ryzen?
Yeah,
He hasn't
he
fought
was
for Ryzen for a while.
he was going to fight right before, like not right before COVID, but at an event around that time. So
Okay.
we just got to get
So
him. I think people are afraid of him there. They're either
yeah.
afraid of him or they just don't want to sign a contract and be badgered by him the whole week of fight week.
I love that. I love Top Noi. I love both sides. I love the guys that are respectful, and because of course, I'm interviewing fighters all the time, and there's fighters are all different like breeds, man, and it's just when you look at some guys like yesterday today I interviewed Corey Sandhagen, right? Corey Sandhagen, one of the best bantamweights in the world, man. This dude is a monster. And he doesn't talk shit. He's just like kind of answers everything the way that he feels. It's kind of like similar to you, you know what I mean? But he says what it's like, what he really feels in his mind, right? It's not like he's trying to talk shit about people, and that's not
Right.
who he is. But then you got Peter, who you know very well. He's just like same, but he's more brash, right? Like he'll say like exactly what, like
And
everything's
that's
directed.
right. Yeah. And that's how Peter is though. Like in
Yeah.
real life, like I can't wait till because his English is like he's learning, but I can't wait until he can speak, really, really good English. And his fan base is like it's already growing all the time because of how good he is, and people I think maybe either love him or don't like him. What he says, but like he's not putting on a show. Like that's who Peter Yan is. Like but he's very witty and he's very funny. Like the stuff, like if I send him a voice message, like the stuff that I receive back sometimes is hilarious. Like that's really Peter's personality, So I can't wait till he can really speak English and like the rest of the world can, see how funny he is and see how he really is.
Yeah, so that's like the both sides of the spectrum, right? You gotta respect it. I love both sides, man. Like if you like it, some people they don't like that trash talk. Some people think like guys that don't trash talk, they should trash talk, but you just gotta be yourself, man. And Peter's that way, and
Find what
Corey
works.
Sandhagen's that way, and those guys are gonna fight each other because
Yeah.
they're the best bantamweights in the world, and it's gonna be insane when they actually meet. And I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that. This question, not a good question, real snitch mob hitter. Have you trained with Loma? Um, have you trained with Loma? Can you
A couple of times.
yeah, a couple times, right? I think you kind of know her a little bit. Let's see. Another question. Was transitioning to MMA hard for Loma to do? Was it hard for her to do?
In some aspects, yeah, but as far as like I think a natural like feel for grappling, I think Loma had a natural. Well, she did. Like the first session ever, I didn't train with her. I just watched her. The first morning that she arrived to Tiger, she took Alex's class, one of the BJJ coaches. And after rolling, he rolled with her first after like teaching the class, once they started rolling. And then afterwards, he's like, bro, are you sure she's never trained before? And I'm like, positive. She's never trained. She just knows about Invicta through a friend and wants to start fighting MMA. And because she had such a natural feel. And she learns at a very rapid pace. You can show her something one time and she can do it, or she can see it and she can do it. And yeah, like some things have been hard, like, you know, things that she's used to in Muay Thai that are different in MMA. So there are some things that have been a little bit of a difficult change, but for the most part, man, I'd say like, yeah, it speaks for itself. Like the girl fought Muay Thai at the highest level, and she's one of the best female fighters in Muay Thai, and I don't, you know, in quite some time. Probably one of the best that there's been. And when she started fighting MMA until the time that she signed to the UFC was 2 years. So I think that, you know, that speaks for itself.
Definitely. Well, you know, she's going to be fighting eventually pretty soon this year, right? They lifted that travel ban to the States, so hopefully you guys can get a fight out there at the Apex or something. Even
Hopefully.
Fight Island, but I don't even believe Fight Island's even real. So I feel like
Really?
that's bullshit.
Are
Yeah.
you conspiracy?
No, it's not conspiracy. I just think it's bullshit. Like, wow, what proof have we seen about Fight Island? They made some T-shirts. They made fucking Zupa boxing T-shirts, and we don't have Zupa boxing.
Fair one. Fair
Right?
one. I didn't.
So like what Dana says all this shit about Fight Island, but we never see anything about it. Why don't he just tell us like this is the area that it is? Why is this such a secret? What, people are gonna fly there? No one could fly anywhere, you fucking idiot. Right? It's like, come on, like show us something. Like show us it's real. All right, now one last question before we take off. Is the last question is from Lee Bruce. Around Asia, there is China, Korea, Japan. In your opinion, which country is better? We've talked about this before, but I want you to tell them, you know, again, because they're new listeners. How do you feel about this? Who's better? Who's the best? I think you broke down into categories last time we talked about this. So, you know,
Did
I'll
I
let you
really?
speak. Yeah, like these guys are this and these guys are like this.
Uh,
I don't know.
well,
Well, you say what you feel. Maybe it changed.
Big Bruce. That's my dad's. My dad's name. Big Bruce. So, but first of all, there's a lot more countries in Asia, bro, than China, Korea, and Japan.
Mm.
But for MMA, in my opinion, I would say that really, well, China has, I think, in the now, you know, they have a champion now. They have a lot of fighters that are ranked. But China has, before I answer your question, China has like come up. When I fought in China 6 years ago, when I first came to Asia, I think that the level of MMA was not that great. Like they've always had good striking, you know, but I think that they were very far behind, or they were far behind, you know, on the ground. I think that they have good strikers, they have good wrestlers, but like complete MMA, you know, for a while I don't think that they had it. But now that's not the case. You know, now obviously with a champion and a lot of fighters that they have in the UFC and ONE FC and stuff is not the case. So I think that they are, man. To be fair, I think that, you know, I would probably say Korea and Japan are probably. I think that the Japanese fighters are like most skillful. Why are you laughing?
Look at you dancing. Look at you dancing around the question.
I'm not dancing on the question. Hold on, I'm not done.
All right.
No,
All
I
right.
think that because China's changed a lot in the last, you know, like in the last 2 years, man, they've really come on. But I think that I would say the Japanese fighters like are the most technical. And I've always said like I thought that the Korean fighters were the toughest. But yeah, now like with China, man, it's that I think that like in the UFC at least, like, you know, Korea and Japan Korea and China are definitely, you know, doing the best in the UFC. Would you agree?
Yeah, they don't have many Japanese fighters in the UFC anymore. I think they have like maybe 2 or 3
Yeah, there's
in
not a
total.
lot.
Yeah.
And hopefully, because that's the thing about, man, I think that I've been lucky, you know, to travel around, especially in Asia. But I think that in the West, we approach fighting differently than how it is in Asia. You know, there's obviously a lot of emphasis on winning and losing. And in MMA, every fight counts and makes a huge difference. It's not like in Thailand, if you lose, you just go fight again in another 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and, you know, you're back on the horse. But I think that like they don't put as much pressure. They just want to go out and fight to their hardest. And yeah, I think like it's yeah.
Yeah, I think that's to sum it up, Japan, they have the longest history of MMA
Yeah.
compared to China and Korea. So they're like you said, technique wise, technical, they're much better, but other countries are catching up. And
Yes.
Korea, they've always been the toughest because they just go out there and fight, and they're basically like street fighters, but they're evolving too, right? Slowly but
Yeah.
surely, and they're getting technical too. But China just has evolved the fastest out of all those
Yeah.
three countries
Very.
that we just mentioned. And that's why
Yeah.
they have a champion, that's why they have a lot of ranked fighters, and there's
And
more fighters that are coming up. And that's basically it. And eventually China is going to take over, man. They have billions of people. When you have that pool of talent, you're going to have more fighters. It's just, the laws of physics. I don't even know, man. I'm just talking shit. But yeah, it's just like natural selection right there, man. The survival of the fittest. And China just has too many. And it's just going to be a factory out there of fighters, especially with the PI, in Shanghai.
yeah, yeah. I think that's definitely going to help those fighters. Right when the Corona stuff started happening, we had a lot of Chinese fighters come here. Most of them being from the PI, but all of them were very, very skilled. Ramona was helping like translate for me and stuff, and because she trained with all of them at the PI, but they were all, super, super nice people and wanting to learn, and but all of them very talented, both the men and the women. So
No
it's
doubt.
I was saying to Sai, I was like, man, bro, like who are these people signed to? These, they need managers.
Yeah, well, shout out to Syed. He's slowly and surely becoming one of the big bosses out there in many countries, many area codes. And yeah, man, the people that are listening, thank you for joining in. Of course, I appreciate George for hopping on here last minute and always producing some good content. Follow George on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, GHick1. All of them GHick1, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, all of them GHick1. Follow the Hickman brothers on Instagram. Follow them on their YouTube channel. Go subscribe to the Hickman brothers YouTube channel. They got
Please.
technique coming out. What other kind of videos you got coming out?
We've been doing a lot of technique videos recently. Once like the gyms open back up, I want to start putting like some like daily training stuff, like maybe some like clips of sparring and pad work and stuff like that. So once the gym opens up, we're gonna try to have a bit more variety on the YouTube channel instead of just technique videos. So yeah, so stay tuned for all of that.
Yeah, go subscribe to that. And we didn't talk about Stamp Fairtex and Angela Lee and Denice Zamboanga today. But if you want to listen to what I have to say, go to SCMP MMA, go to their YouTube channel. There's a whole video that I did with them talking about the whole situation, breaking it down, and I give my thoughts and opinions
Morning
of like
Post,
what's
baby.
going on.
Stand up.
What's up?
The South China Morning Post.
Yeah, South China Morning Post. Give them a follow and subscribe to their channel. So yeah, I'll see you guys.